Good morning, everybody. It's me, Mitch, wearing my I'm aging like a fine cigar t-shirt, full-bodied and a little bit leathery, it says. Oh, goodness. Welcome on this beautiful, gorgeous Friday morning to Morning Coffee with Mitch. And without further ado, drink it if you got it, while we wait for people to show up. Oh, that's good. Here comes the crowd. Yes, sir. We'll see if this Friday isn't better than last Friday. I'm liking this 9 o'clock stuff. I hope you are. Been reading the chat, and it's good to see everybody that's here. Good to see y'all. We got 46 of you here so far, it says. I never know whether YouTube is really keeping up with that count or not, but we'll see. A lot of people are going to be hacking their health this weekend over in Tampa. So Kelsey was over there this morning. Actually gave me a shout out. Thank you, Kelsey. And he said that, I don't know if he said he's going to be watching, but he basically said that, yeah, Sandy says, Kilt said he's coming to watch. I can't believe he won't be so busy. He and Nelson and Ollie and everybody over there. He won't be so busy that he won't have a chance. But I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Just for the hell of it. Let me see here. Invite. I'm going to put. Now, this link is basically for Kilts or Nelson. If somebody else feels that they got to come in and visit with me, please, if I don't bring you in, don't be insulted. I mean, you can try, and I'll be flattered that you tried, but I don't want to make this really an open panel. But in case, there's a link, and I'm going to pin it to the top of the chat, and I will acknowledge pin message. So, Kelsey, Nelson, you want to come in and say hi? I'd be honored, my friends. Be honored. I appreciate the shout out this morning, and he said if somebody wants to stop and pick up Mitch on the way over to Tampa, I got a hotel room, he said. So that's a tremendous. Sandy says, okay, I thought you didn't watch Kilts anymore. No, I don't normally watch at 6 o'clock in the morning anymore. And I hope people didn't misunderstand me. There's been a little tension between me and Kilts, but it wasn't major. But I just stopped watching Kilts. Now, I got a little hurt by this whole thing, and maybe I sounded really bitter, but I'm not. I still think, and I've always said, that Kilts is one of the finest human beings I've ever met in my life, and I'll stand by that. And we may disagree on certain aspects of all this carnivore community stuff, and whether addiction plays a big role or not, or religion plays a big role or not. I can't help my core beliefs, and he can't help his. But I admire the hell out of him, and I think he's doing great things. So don't get me wrong. But no, I don't get up at 6 in the morning to watch kilts. I got an email this morning. Somebody told me that he had... I didn't get up till 6:30 this morning. I'm trying to shift my hours later in the day. I got an email. Somebody said, Kilty mentioned you. I said, oh shit, what was this about? So I went back and watched the replay, and that's how I know what he said. So I wanted to make sure, I wanted to react to it, and I just wanted to hear what he said. And I was very flattered, very tickled, and that's who Robert Kiltz is. And I'm still honored to be his friend. And I'd like to invite him if he comes into the chat. If you see him and I miss it, tell him Mitch wants you to come in. There's a link. And the link should be pinned at the top of the chat. It's a StreamYard link. Look there, Mike. Okay, so enough about that. I'm sitting here about 3 hours away from Tampa. And I was listening very carefully. I went outside this morning. I was listening very carefully, and I could swear that I could hear sounds of hacking coming from Tampa. You know, hacking. Just hack. I could hear it. So it's going to be a lot of hacking going on in Tampa today. I've never been to this Hack Your Health. I know Rick was on a live stream last night, so I know, I imagine it's today he's traveling to Tampa by bus. So he won't get there until later today. I can't wait to hear that story. I can't wait to hear that story. I mean, Rick, I asked him last night, I said, Rick, you ever been to Tampa? He said, I haven't been out of Miami for 20 years. So I figured that. So I think Terry Sue says Rick will give us a good rundown. I'm sure he will. I'm sure he will. And I'll tell you what, if I hadn't had this stroke and my life hasn't been in such turmoil this whole year, there's no way I would have missed that. I would have been over there. In case you haven't noticed, my friends, I'm still here. But in case you haven't noticed, it's been a rough year for me. It's been a very, very tough year to try to stay positive, to not sink into a depression, to be a little impatient with many things that normally wouldn't bother me, to feel sorry for myself. And I've been fighting it all the way. But I know it shows. I've lost followers because of it. And there's nothing you can do. The alternative for me would have been to just give up and disappear and probably live another year or two, and that would be about it. But I'm a fighter, and I keep fighting, and every day I dig deep for reasons. And I don't know if you can understand this, that this stroke took my entire life away from me. And it's been over 8.5 months. And I still don't have the mobility I had hoped I would have at this point. It's getting better, but this recovery has been a real struggle. A lot of pain, a lot of tiring, and it's dominated my life. So if I haven't been as happy and cheerful, well, I don't know if I've ever been that happy and cheerful. I've always been bothered by stupidity, but I'm making it. And I may never get back to where I was. I may never have the physical freedoms that I used to have, but I am probably the senior citizen of the carnivore community. There's people out there older than me for sure. There's people in the audience. There's even a couple of guys that pop up on YouTube once in a blue moon that are in their early 80s. But for all intents and purposes, when it comes to the YouTube influencers in the carnivore space, I'm it. I'm the elder. And I'm trying to stay young on top of all this up in my head. So, Michael Pringle says, my dad is 91 now, has had health issues. His thing is wake up, smile, and go to one at least you're alive. Oh, go to it at least you're alive. Yeah, everybody's been very supportive of me, and I thank you for that. But if you see Kelsey in here, remind him that there's a link at the top of the chat, or Nelson, or both. And if I run out of things to talk about, I'll ask people to come in and visit with me. Today, my friends, is a monumental day. A monumental day. It's both enlightening and depressing at the same time, if there can be such a thing. When I tell you what it is, you'll understand. Today is my son Michael's 55th birthday. My baby boy, my son, hit the double nickel today. Officially, I guess a lot of people feel like officially starting old age. Wow. Now, AARP officially starts old age at 50, but none of us fall for that. But 55, people start retiring at 55, 60. And he's 55 today. And I'm so proud of him. But, I keep trying to say to myself, well, you were really young when you had him. You were what, 6, 7 years old? I can't talk myself into that. I was 23 when he was born. 23 and a half. So it really wasn't that young. I wasn't like a young teenager. But that just hammers home my own age. And I can't believe it. I can't believe it. So he's coming over this afternoon. That's why I'm wearing my cigar shirt, because he's coming over to visit with me this afternoon. Before he goes out of town, he's got some hunting property up in Tennessee. They've got he and 4 or 5 other guys have a bunch of acres up there, hardwood forest, and they've all got cabins. They built cabins, and it's hunting season, and he's going up there. And then Thanksgiving, they go out to Moss Park, which is a big, beautiful park in Orlando, and they spend a week there camping. And he and some friends of his and their family, and they all have a big Thanksgiving dinner. And I talked about it last year, if you remember, before my stroke. I'm going to go this year. It's going to be a little different than last year, but I'm still going to go. And I'll probably do a little live stream from there, like I did last year. And it was great. It was great. I always like it. I always like get out there, sit around the campfire. May have to do a little walker action out there, because I know the bathroom is probably at least not quite a quarter mile, but it's quite a walk from where the campsites are. And maybe I don't like to go in their motorhome, because they have to, it's just an additional amount of sewage they need to deal with. So I always walk to the bathroom, but maybe this year I'll have to stick closer to home. But so he's going to be pretty well gone. So he's coming over today to smoke a cigar with his old man. Wish him a happy birthday, and see him again on Thanksgiving at Moss Park. Let's see who was here this morning. Patty's Garden and Papa Carnivore Peter. Last night, Jem chimed in. How you doing, Jem? Good to see you. Lady June from England. And, as usual, Mike Seeley from Tampa this morning. Brian Dish this morning. Jerry Voitish said hello this morning. And Mike Seeley Sr. from here in Melbourne. How you doing, Michael? Good to see you. Pretty morning. It is a gorgeous morning out there. And it's going to be gorgeous for the next week or more. The weather is going to be exquisite down here. And I saw a comment about the rain in California, which I'll get to, I guess, before we're done. And I saw on the weather yesterday, they talked about that. Is it the worst? They got a big dip in the jet stream. It's going down into Mexico, and then it comes back up again. And it just trashes the weather in California and dumps rain on them and mudslides. It makes it miserable, but it does the opposite for us. That weather pattern gives us gorgeous weather. So to all you out there in California that are taking one for the team, I want to thank you personally for this gorgeous weather that we're going to have the next week or 10 days. Richard Williams, how you doing from Copper Hill, Tennessee? Yeah, my son's going up that way. I think over the weekend. B-Bat, no, he's going to be here through Sunday. I think he's going Monday up to Tennessee. Brian, good morning to you. Happy Friday. And Lori said, good morning, Mitch. And Terry Sue, oh yeah, that's what I read. Terry Sue, been pouring rain here for a little over 24 hours. Waiting for all the sissy California bum scar stories. I don't know what that means. What's a bum scar story? I never heard that term before. It might be a California thing. But yeah, you're taking one for the team, but the Floridians appreciate it. Thomas, good morning to you, sir. Mary M is here, and Jem, Terry Sue again, Chris Swain in Australia. How are you? Good morning from tomorrow. Oh, it's this morning. Well, it's evening. Where's it tomorrow morning? Holy cow, I'm confused. What time is it there, Chris, if you're still watching? Aaron is here with us. Hi, Aaron. How you doing? And Marla Kelly is here. Brendan McIntyre. Mike Pregler, Edward Renner, Chris Hope, my buddy Chris Hope from Texas. How you doing, Chris? Old drone buddy of mine. How you been, man? Good to see you. And Juliet is here. Good morning, Juliet. How are you doing this morning? I was watching a replay of Kilts, and I saw you had come up in the chat while I was watching. Sandy, good morning to you, and Jerry Hall. What a wonderful morning. Hot tub coffee at Mitch. Wow. Now there. It doesn't get any better than that. Minix Gaming, do some of you get palpitations with coffee or anxiety? How much coffee? That's the key. How much coffee? Anybody who drinks too much caffeine or energy drinks or takes APC, aspirin with caffeine tablets, anybody that gets too much caffeine is going to maybe get palpitations or at least anxiety. I never get any. I have 2, maybe 3 cups a day, but that's it. When I long time ago, 50 years ago, more than that, I had a business partner who He used to run around saying he was allergic. He was much older than I. He's probably way dead and gone by now, but he was in his 60s when I was in my 20s. And he'd never drink coffee, would never drink coffee. He was deathly afraid of it. And I'd say, his name was Irv. Irv, what's with you in the coffee? And he said, I'm deathly allergic to caffeine. I said, I never heard of that. But I was a young man. There's a lot I hadn't heard of at that age. How do you know you're allergic to caffeine? I said. Well, he said, a number of years ago, I tried to give up drinking, because this guy was a real lush, too. I tried to give up drinking. So whenever I went out, I would drink iced coffees. Iced coffees instead of alcohol. I said, well, geez, how many iced coffees did you drink in a night? He said, I don't know, usually 10 or 15. And one night I had to go, they took me to the emergency room because they thought I was having a heart attack. And they told me it was from the caffeine. And from that moment on, I was scared to drink another drop of caffeine. And I said, you're a moron, Irv. Anybody would be ready to have a heart attack after 15 glasses. Not just a cup of coffee, but glasses of iced coffee. He still would not drink coffee. It spooked him so bad. He said, I'm not taking any chances. And I believe that might answer your question about the about that. I never forgot that. Every time in fact, I think about Irv every time I drink coffee. He was a character. We were over in St. Pete, Florida, and he used to, on St. Pete Beach, everybody called him the mayor of St. Pete Beach. He was a big deal wherever he went. Whenever he walked into a restaurant, they treated him special. I don't know why, but he was very, very well known over there. Sandy Blythe, good morning to you. Good morning. And Jerry Ho, I already said good morning to you. Let's see if there's anybody I missed. Let's see who was the first one in this morning. I breezed right on past that. I breezed past that. Wow, 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 wow. Terry Sue. We're not even trying. We're not even knowing it. You're this morning's winner. Congratulations. Congratulations. Juliet says, just woke up, made it to Kilts, and then fell back asleep. Well, you had plenty of time to get your beauty sleep after Kilts and still be able to get here. Glad to see you. And I said hi to Terry and Sandy and Lori and Donna Ray's here. Bacon Runner, how are you? If you got any questions for me, put QQQ in the chat, and we'll get to that. We'll get to that. I hope it shows, but I'm in a stellar mood this morning. I have lots of energy in the morning. The best time of day for me. I didn't go for a walk. I went for a fairly lengthy walk yesterday, and I wanted to give my legs a chance to, my muscles a chance to recuperate from that. But I was outside. I got some sun this morning. Was a little chilly. I had a sweatshirt on, my knit cap, my sweatpants. But it's going to be mid-70s today. Going to be gorgeous. And it's going to get up into the low 80s over the next week or 10 days. So, man, this is the best time of year. Lucy Work. Hi, Lucy. Good morning to you, Sharon McCabe. And McKay is here. McKay. Good morning, Mitch. Just finished my walk. 11,800 steps. Wow, wow, wow. Good for you. 1 hour elliptical later. Oh, my goodness. Having sardines for my homemade breakfast. Ollie. Wow, wow. Wow, you have definitely gotten on board with this program. I can tell you that. I walked yesterday. At the end, it totaled up to about 2,500 steps, which, considering how much effort that is, that was quite a bit. It was so much that my watch went up and congratulated me. It was evidently a recent record for me. So I'm going to be doing that. And tomorrow morning, I will be out in the neighborhood again. And I'm thinking about going to the gym in the neighborhood now. Jem asked me a question, will you be walking today? You're doing great. No, I'm not going to walk today. I don't know how to describe it, but it's not just an energy issue. It's a lack of walking, and walking, I don't want to say it like a gimp, but even when you get a new pair of shoes, just a little difference in the angle that your foot hits the ground. And especially with the stroke and my one leg having to come back from basically numb, you limp. And that affects all your joints, your knees, your hips, your ankle. And that's the real limiting factor for me right now, is that I have to build up gradually to walking any length of time or any distance, or I'll start to hurt. And I don't want to damage my joints in the process, or wear certain areas of my joints, because I am an old man, that previously weren't being worn because I had a pretty nice even gait. So I have to concentrate on my gait, on how I lift my leg, on the angle of my foot when I put it down and lift it up, to try to get it to be as close to normal walking. So when I come out of the back end of all this, I won't have a permanent limp, and I'll look like I walk normally. So that's what's limited me. I walked yesterday. I could have gone further than I did, but my knee started to hurt. And that's when I said, no, that's it. That's it for today. And I'm going to let my joints rest up today and hit it tomorrow. Now, I may drive up to the little community gym today and do some exercises with the machines up there, or the dumbbells, or something else. But I plan on walking tomorrow, and I appreciate the thought. Let me go back and see who I missed, and then we'll go look for more questions. Kay says her addiction plays a key part of what motivates her. Yeah, the most valuable thing we can do, I think, and I hope it shows in some of my advice, is finally realize that being addicted to carbohydrates is not a flaw, a weakness, a reason to be ashamed of yourself. And just accept the fact that we're human, and it's these addictions that let our species survive through all those eons and millions of years when there were no carbohydrate-rich 7-Elevens on every street corner. And we all inherited that drive. And that drive has been, you talk about hack your health, that drive has been hacked by some not so nice people who run the food companies and have learned how to manipulate us by poisoning us with the most addictive foods on the planet. And we have to, if we're going to fix it, we have to start talking about it as the problem it is, and people don't want to do it. They don't want to do it because either they have a financial interest in it not getting fixed, or their own addiction. That's the definition of addiction. They don't want to give up the good tasting, comforting, addictive foods. And they'll find any reason to say, I tried that, it's not a good idea, I want to go back. and like so many carnivores do, come up with a reason. Well, I'm going to add carbs because, well, that's pure addiction. You don't need the carbs. But it's amazing how many really well-known and respected carnivore influencers are peddling carbs now, more than likely because their own addiction has given them a reason to rationalize why it's okay. Now, if that happens to you and you have come up with a reason, a good reason why you need to start going back into the sugar bowl, that's fine. But don't couch it as medical advice on your YouTube channel and tell everybody else that they need to add carbs because of some little blood test number or something. There, I said it. And don't be ashamed of being a carb addict. Embrace it. Like McKay does. Embrace it. Never forget it. Ignore all the advice that's contrary to it. Rick will give us good. Okay, I'm really far behind in this chat. Let me run through. DS111's here. How you doing this morning? See who else I didn't say hi to, and I think I got everybody. Hey, Jem. Mama Bear. Hey, how you doing? Good to see you. Good to see you. Aaron is here. You'll get pink eye Terry. I don't know what that's, a private conversation, and my phone just went ding. Speaking of my phone going ding, let's see. Oh, Jane bought me a couple of coffees. Thank you so much, Jane. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Enjoy your cigar with your son today, she says. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And I just thought that it'd be interesting to give you the little morning rundown of the stuff that Sam's Club this morning thought I couldn't live without. I ought to make this a regular feature of my morning show, because I get this every morning, right about the time, 8:30 or so, I get an email from Sam's Club. Things that we think you need, and I can't just turn off the emails, because when I get deliveries, I have to get the confirmation. So every morning I get the email from Sam's Club. And this morning, the stuff that I can't live without. The PlayStation Call of Duty game. Yes, I can't live without that. What the hell is this? I'm clicking on it, but nothing's happening. Okay, it's a unmatched 3-in-1 versatility. It is a Ninja combination. It's called the Ninja Luxe Cafe Premier Series. 3-in-1 espresso machine, drip coffee maker, and something else. Wow, that's got to be $1,000 and take up more counter space than any 2 of the air fryers that they have. They think I need some molds to make ice cubes. They think I need jewelry this morning. They think I need a handbag. And they think I need a children's play bench. They think I need an external, an enamel cast iron bread oven. I need that. Yes, sir. But most important, I need a Sharper Image Spar Studio towel warmer. Heated comfort and aromatherapy. And the piece de resistance, my friends, the thing that I cannot live without. Members Mark, winter waffles, chicken and gingerbread flavored dog treats. I want to take a minute to personally thank Sam's Club for knowing so much about me and making sure I don't miss out on anything that I might regret not buying later. So thank you, Sam's Club. It's unbelievable, the recommendations I get. Now, maybe I should be happy about that, because that just shows they don't know me very well. But they should know me, because the only thing I buy from Sam's Club is meat and fish and eggs. Period. Why are they recommending all this other crap to me? Somebody needs to get with their programmer and teach them how to actually read some of the data that they're gathering in the normal course of their business. But I'm doing my public service, so if any of you have a dog who's hooked on chicken waffle, whatever doggy treats, Sam's got them on sale, just for you. I never heard of that. I never heard of that. Oh, yeah. Tanya's here. Hiya, Tanya. Good to see you. Yeah, my second cup, too. I get up early. I have my first cup. About an hour before the show. I just was outside watching the rerun of Kills this morning. And I said, I could use a cup of coffee. I had already hydrated. I always hydrate first when I get up. Before I drink coffee. I try to make sure I'm awake at least an hour before I drink. I've said this before, but I'll say it again. I always think when you first wake up in the morning, you should let your body's normal flow of cortisol and other things and raising your blood sugar and getting you ready, ramping up your metabolism for the day before you add any artificial stimulants like caffeine. And if you have to drink coffee when you first get up, I would recommend that maybe you drink at least 1 cup of decaf as your first cup. But you want to hydrate first thing in the morning. That's the most. You've been in bed all night. You haven't drank anything. You've just been getting rid of liquids, and not only that, but your cells have been active while you sleep. You've been creating a lot of water waste, and you need to hydrate first thing before you start pouring coffee. Now, coffee does hydrate you, yes, but it also stimulates you, and I try to, it's a simple thing to do. Just the first hour I'm up, I try to drink maybe 6 to 8 ounces of water, maybe. And I have electrolytes in them. Then an hour and a half later, I drink my first cup of coffee. So I couldn't wait till 9 o'clock today. Mea culpa. Barry Simon. Hi, Barry. Good to see you. Good to see you, my friend. How are you? Carnivore Farm Mom. Good to see you this morning. Good to see you. And I guess I'm so far behind I can't read. No, I'm not that far behind. I'm up to 9:29 in the chat, and it's only 9:39. Hey, how about that? Jem said, will you be walking? I answered that one. I saw that one when it came in. I'm going to walk. I mean, I walk all over the place around the house. I spend more time every day on my feet. But to actually go out for a walk, I'm going to shoot for a mile tomorrow morning. I am going to shoot for a mile. And I got that walker with the seat on it. I'm also going to probably do a walk and talk video while I'm walking. Figure something to talk about. And then decide how much of it to edit out, because otherwise it would be a long video, which would be boring. But I'm going to try to walk a mile, and I've got the walker with the seat. So if my knee starts to hurt or something, I can stop anywhere and just sit down and rest for a few minutes. And we'll give it a shot. We'll give it a shot. See what happens. I'll let you know. I'll let you know. I'm going to do the live stream tomorrow night, but it's going to be at 8 o'clock, not 9, like last week. 8 o'clock. Did the private community live stream at 8 o'clock last night, and thinking about pushing it back to 7 again for the private community live stream. The reason I moved it to 8 was that it conflicted with Curry Man's Q&A he does every Thursday at 7. My private community let me know in no uncertain terms they didn't care about that, and that's not going to. They're always going to be in this live stream. And one of our regulars, Tuka, over in Finland, it was 3 in the morning for him, and it's only 2 in the morning if I go. So I'll let you know next week. The evening live streams, I'm still juggling the times and the days to find out what works for me. And then what works for you, too. But I have to, unfortunately, I got to put myself first and my needs first in that respect. I got to prioritize my recovery more than I have been. James Ballou. They say it never rains in Southern California. Who says that? Who says that? Carnivore farm mom wants you to take it easy. Okay. Okay. I'm also looking for questions. There's a question. Wow, that's a question. Do you believe humans are carnivores? I ask this because I have discovered many who practice a carnivore diet do so with the belief that we are actually carnivorous animals. Well, that's a good question, and there is no answer. There's no answer to that. Until you define the various terms. How would you define a carnivore? How would you define an omnivore? How would you define a herbivore? Now, there's scientific definitions, and the definition of a carnivorous animal is an animal that derives 70% of its nutrition from eating animal-sourced foods. Okay? Well, who says? who was the rocket scientist that first declared? A better way to define the animal is examine the digestive machinery of the animal and make your definitions there. So I think a more accurate definition of what makes up a carnivore would be, does the animal have a hind gut or not? Basically, all animals need fatty acids to build their bodies, to build protein. They need fatty acids that have energy. You don't get a lot of fatty acids from the eating grass. We don't eat grass. We have no hind gut. A hind gut is more intestines that are full of bacteria, and plant matter and fiber can ferment in there, and the little bacteria change, eat the cellulose and all the fiber, and they excrete free fatty acids. So they're little manufacturing plants. Then we, the animals that are herbivores and have a hind gut like a cow, and all the bacteria that ferment these things, and multi-chambered stomachs, and all kinds of plumbing and tubing and physiology that human beings have been evolved out of, because we were forced out of the jungle, into the savanna, away from the plants, and our species in the early days, millions of years ago, had to be able to digest and get all the nutrition that we needed from the only food source that was available mostly, which was from animals. Our cousins, the great apes, the chimpanzees that we come from, they stayed, they still stayed in the trees, and there's still chimpanzees today. But we left them, went off on our own, and changed, and we became carnivores. The answer to your question is yes, we are absolutely carnivores. But I'll qualify that by saying that if you make the definition loose enough, the definition of an omnivore, then every animal is an omnivore. Because I don't care whether you're a lion. If you can't find meat, you're going to try to find fruit or something else, or nuts or something to eat rather than die. So it depends on how dire your situation is and how hard your preferred food is to find. Now, human beings are omnivorous, and mean that we've proven that we can live on nothing but plants as well. How healthy it is for us, and whether we have to supplement the hell out of it, that's not nature. That's not nature. That's not evolutionary in any way. Once we start interfering, then it's not natural anymore. We've done that with everything in the world these days. When you pet your dog and he licks your face, you can thank human intervention in the normal evolution of wolves, because we're the ones that screwed them. When you eat genetically modified corn or something like that, you can thank human beings. Had it not been for the fact that we left the jungle, we were forced by geological conditions, weather, shifting tectonic plates and everything. We were put into a situation where it got cold, and we were forced to either eat animals or die. When we started to eat those animals, our brains, we had protein we never had, and our brains grew. And as our brains grew, they needed more and more energy. And as the body had to shift so much of its energy to power the brain, it couldn't power. It didn't have to power the digestive tract anymore. So through normal, selective, natural selection, from generation to generation, any change that favored growth of the brain at the expense of the shrinking of the digestive tract because of the increased amount of nutrition in the new food, in the meat, our species became carnivore. When we came from herbivores that were probably omnivores. But the problem we have today, the problem we're having today is labels. It's labels. It drives me nuts in this community of ours, the labels we put on it. What the hell do we need? Keto, ketovore, carnivore, lion diet. What do we need? We have made labels for things that are so close that most people don't even know what they are. And then everybody cheats. Everybody cheats. That's like reminds me of House, MD. Remember House? Everybody lies. Now, he was more right than wrong. Well, everybody cheats. I don't care what you say. I just saw a couple of videos of the funniest things I ever saw in my life. There were videos about people who claimed they were on diets, and this is mostly in England. They claimed they, if you maybe you've seen them, they claimed they were on diets. They're big and fat, claiming, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I'm on this diet, I swear. What do you eat? I only eat this and that, and I can't lose weight. I gain weight. Something wrong. So what they did is they set these people up like candy camera. They installed cameras in their house. They followed them around. They had private investigators following them around. They followed these two hogs around for a week. And then they confronted them and showed them what the hell they were eating. They were eating a huge amount of food. Huge amounts of all carbohydrate food. And the guy was in it. This guy in the film had a chocolate business. He was a chocolatier. He made chocolates. So him and his fat wife were tasting chocolates all the time, but they didn't count that. They didn't count 2 pounds of spaghetti. They didn't count the sugar that was in the sauce. They counted the salad that they ate. And then, to show you how absurd and how misled we are as a society, when the expert nutritionist that was heading up this whole little experiment started to tell them what they were doing wrong, she made it all about calories, not the foods they were eating. Never once mentioned the foods they were eating. It became all about calories. So, in other words, you ate 450 calories worth of pasta when you should have only eaten 200. So they turned it back into a low calorie, move more diet, which isn't the answer either. So I thought this was a video that pointed out the absurdities of how we all cheat ourselves and lie to ourselves. That's our subconscious mind manipulating and giving us permission and not holding us accountable so it can get its sugar. That's the problem. And they acted kind of surprised at the end of this. It was absurd. And I found out that this channel, I don't remember what it was, and I doubt I'll watch any more of it, because I thought how absurd to point out that people can't help themselves, that people eat and don't even know they're eating, that they eat, this guy's nibbling on candy all day and doesn't count that, and not blame addiction for that problem, not blame the fact that they're sugar addicts for all the problems. Instead, just talk about calories in and calories out. That's how screwed up we are when it comes to fixing things. So that's a long answer to that question, but I hope that was helpful and you understood it. But we are, by virtue of our physiology, the fact that we don't have a hindgut, and when we do eat plants, they have to ferment in our colon and usually cause more problems than they solve. Give us gas, give us diverticulosis, constipate us, and we do much better without them. And I'm living proof of that without getting into too many bathroom details. First time in my life, my digestive tract works like a well-oiled machine, whereas all my life I was bloated and constipated and in pain. And eat fiber, like they told me, taking Metamucil, which made it worse. So I'm convinced we are carnivores. We are carnivores because of our physiology. Even a vegan who eats nothing but plants and supplements everything they need in amino acids and vitamins is still a carnivore. I think the way to determine what an animal is to x-ray him and see what he's got in his gut. And that determines it, because in these days, you can't determine what you are by your diet, because carnivores are eating nothing but veggies, and vegans, well, humans are not supposed to be vegans. We don't have the machinery for it. We don't have the equipment to be a vegan. What we have are a bunch of people making a bunch of money and making us sick in both the pharmaceutical companies, the healthcare industry, and the food companies that are pushing this vegan agenda. This animal rights, animal cruelty, climate change, and all the other bullshit that they get us to fall for and take sides and march up and down with signs. We are carnivores. I'm convinced of that. We're not cows. We're not monkeys. We're carnivores. Changed my mind. Changed my mind. I love those things. Jem says, Mitch, you have a question. Whose question? Is that the one I just answered? I think so. Yes, that was one from Carnivore Farm Mom. So, I hope that answers your question. Obviously, I'm very opinionated on the subject. And MK says, my son doesn't believe. Nobody wants to believe they're an addict. That's why we all cheat. You know, that's the power of the mind. You know, the only thing I disagree with my friend Kiltsy about, when he says the mind is the master, I say, you're damn straight. The mind is the master. But you've got two different minds. You've got your animal brain, which has been the brain for hundreds of millions of years and controls the powerful machinery that is the human body in ways that we're not even aware of in our conscious mind. Then we got the conscious mind, which is the new kid on the block. It's not very good at controlling all the things that the animal brain controls. In fact, most of the power of the conscious mind we humans use to screw up everything. We got to interfere with everything. We got to sidestep everything. We should leave it alone. It's been working for hundreds of millions of years perfectly. But no, we outsmart ourselves. Well, unfortunately, the conscious mind can only make suggestions or wishes to the subconscious, but the subconscious is going to do what it's programmed to do to keep us alive. And yes, it's the master. And addiction is in the subconscious mind, and we have no control over it, most of us who get strongly addicted. So yes, the mind is the master, but you got to know which mind you're talking about. And the powerful mind is the one that knows what you need based on millions of years of evolution, and will do anything to get you to do it. I keep trying to explain that's how come animals know what to eat. They don't consciously think about anything. They follow their instincts. That's what instincts are. That's what urges are. It's what addiction, cravings are. That's the way the subconscious mind communicates with the physiology and with the animal to compel it to get what it needs, whether that be sex, so that the species can reproduce, food, so that the species can live, to breathe. And if you ever want to do an experiment to see which brain is the superior one, try to hold your breath until you die. You can't. You can't. You cannot kill yourself. in your conscious mind. Unless you put a gun to your head, maybe, but you can't strangle yourself. You can't hold your breath. You can't do anything. If you try to drown yourself, control will be taken away from your conscious mind. Your subconscious mind will propel you back up out of the water. Your subconscious mind will take control of your entire body and fix whatever it is that's killing you if it can. But it will try nonetheless. Even if you hang yourself, you have to put yourself in a situation where you're stuck. If you hang yourself, you're generally stuck. If you've ever seen anybody get hanged and you notice the thrashing at the very end, that's not something they're doing consciously. That is their subconscious mind taking complete control of their body. Same thing with drowning. You can't do it. The subconscious mind is also the mind that subtly influences you to give it what it's addicted to. And I've talked about that so many times. It's addicted to these things for a reason that comes from way back in evolutionary time, when it had to become the strongest urge in the world would be the urge to go out and forage for food when the food runs out and the fat supply on your body runs out. And we're helpless at that. Psychologists know this. But in our current climate, and with our current food supply and overabundance of these addictive foods, we're captive. We're being used, and we're paying for it with our health and pain and suffering, and dying every year at a younger and younger age. It is all about addiction. And those of us that have succeeded and can maintain carnivore and still be happy and free from cravings are the very few. The 100th of 1% of people who have finally convinced themselves that they're addicts. The only alcoholics that ever stay on the wagon are those people that understand the power that addictions have over us. The rest are weak and are eager to grasp any excuse to cheat and give your subconscious what it thinks it needs, but really doesn't need. And that's where getting over addiction means you have to, I found the only way I can unaddict myself is to never allow myself to be hungry for a couple weeks. That means stuffing my face, eating enormous quantities of food, meat. And the addiction, my hormones never get a chance. Then after a while, my subconscious does learn. It does learn. It does change things. It thought I was going to die by tomorrow if I didn't get sugar. And it'll do that again if I start eating sugar and remind it. Like that happened to me when they had me in the hospital and everything I ate had sugar. There's nothing I could do. Either that or starve to death for 3 weeks. They managed to put shit in everything. Even things that shouldn't have sugar. They managed to find ways to get the sugar in. Some people aren't addicted to carbs at all. So they don't eat. We can all eat a certain amount of carbs and live a very nice life. Unfortunately, and there's different kinds of carbs. The low glycemic carbs probably won't trigger an addiction. But most carbs that you find in processed foods are not low glycemic carbs. They're not made from broccoli. They're made from beetroots, cane sugar, wheat. Oh, enough about that. Have I told you I think the main problem is addiction? Nobody cares. I started to make a whole series of videos, and nobody watched them. Nobody cares because they're addicts. The brain that's really in charge of them doesn't want to hear it. Doesn't want to hear it. It turns it off. Just like I turn off videos when they start going into subject matter that I don't want to hear. I just say, I'm not going to watch any more of this. So I don't watch vegan channels. Did I get further behind? 9:38? Yes, I have. I mean, just look for some questions. Here we go. Questions. Are you still drinking that leucine in your coffee? I take the leucine on days when I've been off of it maybe 1 or 2 days a week. I've been taking it, but it really only benefits you when you exercise hard enough to destroy or tear down your muscle, which happens with resistance training or interval training or sprinting. Because what leucine does is it stimulates muscle protein synthesis to rebuild muscle. But if you haven't torn your muscles down, you're not going to be rebuilding them. So it's a waste there. So what I settled into is on the days when I work out, I will take the leucine. But on the days I don't work out, depending, I might take it, but if I haven't been because I haven't been working out hard enough. Let's put it that way. What I'm going to do in the future, I'm not sure yet. As far as the creatine goes, the creatine has a different purpose. The creatine just gives you, and that also may be tied to working out too, because you may not need that extra energy that you get in each of your cells by taking creatine and having your creatine phosphate levels in your cells higher, which acts as a backup form of energy when your ATP runs out. That's really good at, if you're trying to tear your muscles down, that helps you doing that, because where you might have crapped out after 10 reps, the creatine might have given you enough extra energy for that 11th rep. And that may have torn down your muscles a little bit more. So bodybuilders like that stuff. Yeah. Another thing about creatine is that if you're doing that, it probably raises your creatinine levels, because creatinine is a waste byproduct, and it's in the blood, and they measure creatinine when you get your blood tests. And anybody that's a carnivore or a bodybuilder is always going to have high creatine or creatinine levels, because your metabolism is working harder or working differently. You're metabolizing more protein and less sugar. So what happens is that in our medical community, in their infinite wisdom and knowledge, they found a way to tie kidney failure to the creatinine level in your blood, because that's what they noticed in normal people. Normal sugar-eating, fat, sick people who have a creatinine level about the same as the healthiest carnivore on the planet, those people were having kidney problems, kidney failure, spilling protein in their urine, doing all kinds of shit. And they came up with a test called a glomerular filtration rate. It's not really a test, it's a calculation. And what do they use to calculate it? Your creatine level. I've been diagnosed with stage 2 kidney failure for years now because my creatinine level is high. There is a test, however, that measures kidney function a lot better, but nobody ever in fact, I don't even remember what it is. You never hear about it. I read about it one time. But they still keep going with this EGFR. And I've finally researched it and found enough references on the internet and studies where they actually say This EGFR number indicates kidney failure unless, and they actually specify, unless you're on basically a higher protein, no sugar diet. Then it can be 3 times what their normal rate is, and it doesn't indicate a problem. And I've always wondered how my urinalysis results always came back perfect. No sugar, no protein, no nothing. Nothing that didn't need to be there. Everything exactly in the right range. And yet, this idiot neurologist tells me that I have stage 2 kidney failure and I need to go to a nephrologist and let one of these other quacks get their hands on me and hasten my demise with treatments I don't need and advice that was going to harm me if I follow it, like don't eat meat anymore. That's their advice when you have a high EGFR. It's got to be red meat. You need to eat more carbs, more pasta, more of this, and cut out that evil red meat and eat salads. They're killing us. We're letting them. We're either shamed or bullied into it. They're ignorant, refuse to look at anything that makes any sense to us these days. And I gotta avoid them. I gotta just stay away from these lunatic doctors. And there's not enough good doctors or carnivore doctors to go around. And we're in a sad state of affairs when pretty much the only way we can actually get real advice from any of these people is to hang out in their live streams and throw super chats at them. And even then, they can't treat us like we were their patient. And the few doctors that you can actually get in to see, I hope you live long enough. And it's a problem. But there's no incentive for these doctors. They're not going to make any money by bucking the system. They're going to become outcasts. They're going to be worried about losing their licenses. I got an Aaron's message up there. Are you still drinking that leucine and carb? Yeah, okay, I went over that. Stuff tastes terrible. The creatine's okay, but Jim, no, I have both the cell and this watch, and this has got a very accurate. This is quite a watch here. This is that Samsung. They're big one. It's like having a computer on your wrist, but it's got tremendous sensors, and it really is. It gives me an accurate steps count. But then it works in conjunction with the health app on my cell phone, which also counts steps. So it actually basically gets an accurate count because it has 2 different sensors working, and it compares the 2 and comes out with. It really does nail it down. Very, very, very close. Very close. Okay, let's see. Wow, 10:13 already. I'm having fun today. I don't guess Kilt's ever showed up in the chat. In cases, my vitamin D level was 53 this annual checkup, and I wanted higher. Well, 53 is a good number. 53 is okay. That's right smack in the middle of the range. The range, I think, is from 30 to 100, somewhat like that. But I hear people say 50 to 60 is okay, but get more sun, or maybe take a small amount of vitamin D and K2 supplement. I got mine from 30 up to 65 by taking 5,000 IU a day of the vitamin 3 and K2. And now I take some, but we'll see. I'm going in for my physical, my end-of-year physical in a month or so, get my blood drawn. I do it once a year. And those are the numbers that I'm interested in. I'm not interested in cholesterol numbers and all the other crap. I'm interested in just my electrolytes okay. Am I getting enough vitamin D3? the things that just are being stolen out of our food by the smart human beings that decide what fertilizers to use and what pesticides to use. There's somebody had is that Don? Dan? Donnie R? I'm a little late. And feel better. Only carnivore, a due to poor digestion and blood sugar control. I feel much better. Good. Welcome. Welcome. Got somebody new. Simpson Johns is here. How you doing? Good to see you. David L. Say good morning, Mitch. Mitch, information in progress. I was pontificating. I like to do that a little bit. I hope that I might say give us some mirror in or window into my some insights that I've gotten of just from thinking about this shit all the time. Why did my coffee warmer timed out? Wow. My coffee's getting cold. Terrible. Terrible. Any more questions? Carnivore Farm. Mitch, what food do you think is more problematic? You're going to have to narrow it down a little bit. You're going to have to narrow that. Of course, the broad categories would be seed oils and sugar and carbs. Those are the most problematic foods, I think. But I think that's too it's really a broad question. Oh, here, she finished it. A bowl of broccoli or a bowl of ice cream. One on plant food fiber, one mostly sweet. Again. You can't say which one is more problematic. You can't say. How can you say? Who's eating it? Who's eating it? Are they an addict? What's their health? Are they thin? Are they fat? Do they have digestive problems or don't they? Because do they have problems digesting dairy? You can't say. That's the problem. We try to generalize. We try to make rules, absolutes, and you can't. You can't. You could have two people. One of them, the broccoli would kill them because they have irritable bowel disease, inflammatory bowel disease, Crohn's or ulcerative colitis, and eating any fiber or veg or anything like that will trigger that, maybe an attack. And then you have the other person who's just so sensitive to dairy and some of the proteins in dairy that eating the bowl of ice cream would kill them, but they'd be perfectly fine with the broccoli. So you can't make generalizations like that, which is why this one-size-fits-all diet or the different definitions that we have don't work. Don't work. You have to learn the dynamics And the word dynamics is something people don't understand, even understand that. What does dynamic mean? Dynamic means constantly changing. There is static, everything's fixed, stays the same, and the opposite of static is dynamic. Evolution, for example, is a dynamic system with billions of variables based on billions of other variables. The dynamics of diet can vary as much as the differences in all the human beings on the planet. So I think in those terms, but how do you give advice to people? That's why I don't give a lot of advice. I try to talk in general concepts so people can think and apply these concepts to themselves and then determine. That's what a doctor is supposed to do. Supposed to prescribe. He doesn't prescribe the same thing. Well, they do today. That's the problem with medicine. Everybody should be on a statin. Yeah. They're killing people with that advice. Maybe helping a few, but more damage than not. They're putting people in nursing homes with that advice. They're taking away the one thing the body makes that it needs more of. They're artificially making the body make less of it. And they don't know it. Because of, well, we know why. We know how we got here with Ansel Keys and all that other crap and bad advice and Seventh-day Adventists preaching meat is evil and it's crazy. It's crazy, but nobody wants to hear it. They don't want to hear it because their addiction doesn't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it because their addiction enjoys all that crap that they're eating. Makes them feel good, gives them comfort. You want to take my comfort away from me? How am I going to go to a party if I can't eat shit? I don't agree with you, Mitch. I'm going to keep eating my shit. And they do. And we keep paying their medical bills. So, there you are. Terry says, where do animals get creatine and leucine? It is in everything you eat. They are amino acids. Creatine and leucine are some of the most abundant amino acids in meat and any animal food. That's the reason that the food is so good for you. Because the leucine stimulates muscle protein synthesis. The creatine stimulates energy production. The things that make you healthier by being a carnivore. To supplement those is kind of a special use case where you want more of it without having to eat more food. Like when you're a bodybuilder or you're trying to recover from a stroke. If I wasn't recovering from my stroke, I wouldn't be taking that stuff. I get more than enough of it. Just like a vitamin D supplement. You get out in the sun every day and eat the right foods that are rich in vitamin D, you don't need to take a supplement. You shouldn't need to take any supplements. That's the whole purpose of eating complete nutrition. That's why vegans can't live long and healthy without some kind of supplement or cheating. They call themselves vegans, but they eat eggs and dairy and fish, but they're still vegans. They're not vegans. They're eating animal products. People in general are just so screwed up, self-righteous and delusional that you can't believe anything they say. And that was hit home when I watched these videos about these two fat people, watching them followed around all day by private eyes, stuffing their face full of shit from morning till night, and then claiming to the nutritionist, I don't know why I can't lose weight, I only eat this. People, you're only fooling yourselves. But your brain doesn't want you to stop because it wants you to have that sugar. It thinks you're going to die tomorrow if you don't get it. And the only way to fix it is to prove it to you, to your brain, that you're not going to be dead by going without that stuff for a few weeks. And the only way to do that without the urges becoming so overwhelming that you can't help it is to not be hungry. Follow my little rule that I finally discovered works for me. Eat until you can't eat anymore. And the minute you get the slightest little bit of urge for anything, just start cramming more food in your face. Just make sure it's meat. Stop worrying about losing weight. Stop worrying about all that crap. Put up with it for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and your cravings go away. And then you can get it under control and become a happy carnivore like me. But you still have to always be wary of the fact that you are that level of an addict. And stop listening to the people who aren't an addict telling you how to control your addiction. They don't understand. They have no idea. There are probably many other things in their lives they're addicted to and have no control over. I know my ex-wife was addicted to shopping. But anybody who isn't a carb addict cannot tell you how to control your addiction. Only somebody. That's why I try to limit my advice. Tell people handle their addiction. I'm convinced it's the biggest problem, and I could do the most good. But the addict, and most of the people who are addicted, doesn't want them watching my videos, and that's evidenced by the fact that I'm still standing on that mountaintop by myself, yelling, "It's addiction, stupid," while everybody else is on their way to Baskin-Robbins, claiming they're a carnivore. But I'll just do this just one last time, and I'll start again tomorrow. Terry Sue said the leucine made me get edema. Well, how do you know it was the leucine? But if you think it gave you edema, stop using it. Edema is when you get water retention. I never heard of that, but they didn't do it to me. But if you know, I have no idea. I can't diagnose that because I don't know what else you've been doing along with the leucine. But yeah, if you get a bad reaction to anything, stop it. You don't need it that bad. Terry Sue said Rick's phone must not work on the bus. Yeah, Rick hasn't chimed in. Well, I'm getting about ready to wrap it up here. It's a very strange question. I don't know this person. Talking about read the blood type diet. I think there might be some validity to the blood type diet, but I certainly wouldn't gauge my diet or anything else based solely on what's in that book. And they're talking about eat more meat, eat less meat, eat veggies. I throw it away. I would. I read the book. I read it when it first came out. I think there may be some little bit of evolutionary pressure on what your ancestors evolved eating, and it may help you, but to try to prescribe a diet to human beings today based on all these generations of intermixing and intermarriage and Eskimos marrying Hawaiians. Once we invented the boat and the airplane, we have short-stopped evolution, and looking back, except for the real basics of how the cells work, that it's very hard to prescribe on an individual basis on a trait that you may only have picked up from 25% of your recent ancestor. It might be overpowered by a more dominant trait as far as the appropriate diet for you than the blood type. So I don't think you don't even make any life-altering decisions based on that. Unless you need blood. Of course, you don't want to kill yourself. Everybody's talking about their diet, and I think I got to get down to the bottom here, and I got to go. That's it. Target prime rib down at the bottom. This will actually be an adventure it'll be an adventure for Rick. I hope he doesn't end up cowering in the corner of his hotel room, being scared to death by the big bad world. No, he's going to have a good time. He's going to have a good time. And I'm sure he's been around this community for a long time. Most people know who he is. So, my friends, thanks for coming. A little happy music. Say goodbye to your friends in the chat, and I will see you tomorrow evening at 8 p.m. Sunday off, and then again on Monday morning at 9 a.m. Thomas says he may regret not bringing Milton. I don't know about that hotel he's staying in, but they may have strict pet policies. He may actually enjoy the vacation from Milton, because Milton seems to be a constant disruption in his life. Lady June says bye. Lori says goodbye. Thank you, Mitch. Carnivore Farm Mom. My feet and ankles have never been so lean. There you go. No edema. Mine the same way. I have no swelling anywhere. Have a great day, Mitch says. Kooky Carnivore. Hi, Kooky Carnivore. Donna Rave waving goodbye. Jem, Mitch, and Mitch says thank you. It's fun and informative. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jem. I appreciate it. Sandy Blythe, thank Mitch. Have a great life today, she said. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. And with that, we'll wait for the music to end. Of course, I like to be professional. Professional show business. Here it comes. Here it comes. Here it is. Take the rest of the day off. See you tomorrow night. And eat meat.